All right, it is 5 o'clock, so let's go ahead and call this meeting to order for the Kittitas County Public Hospital District Number 1, March 26, 2026. We have an agenda in front of you. Any suggestions or changes?
Yes, for the first presentation, I'd like to add Safe Catch Awards.
Okay, so a B for that. Want it before A.
A, please.
Okay, so A.
Jim, you don't mind waiting another couple of minutes?
Jim gets bumped to B. A will be Safe Catch. Meredith. It's out of here by then. And then I'd like to move the Chief Executive Officer report to after finance. Human resources would stay where it's at, but we'll have Jason go after finance if nobody has any issues with that. And then for old business, just want to go through the conferences real quick and see what people are thinking and just see if there's any finalization on that. And an executive session, we have a couple of personnel related things that we'll have on there, so don't have to do much to there. Any other adjustments, corrections, changes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion when ready.
Move to approve agenda as amended.
Okay. Motion by Matt, second by Eric. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. You have a consent agenda. If you've had a chance to review that, I will entertain a motion when ready. Motion by Bob,
Second.
second by Matt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. So, first I will just say, I understand it's your birthday today.
What?
Happy birthday. There we go. Got that out of the way. So we will celebrate later. And so we're on to presentation. So Matt, I'll hand it off to you for Safe Catch Awards.
Yeah, so we'll start with the Safe Catch Awards, which I say all the time, it's like one of my favorite parts of doing this thing, because you get to learn about all the amazing stuff that people are doing. And it's always a really tough choice in the QI Council because we have so many good nominees. I'll remind you what a safe catch is. Safe catch involves at least one of the following. The catch prevented an event from reaching a patient or staff member. Catch prevented pain, delays in care, unnecessary costs, or workflow inefficiencies. The situation was high risk or had potential for greater patient harm, such as communication errors, surgical site infections, or falls. The catch led to frontline or just-in-time improvement. So we have two awards. I'll talk about the clinical award now. First, Kara Henderson wasn't able to be here, but she won our clinical award this time. The reason for the nomination was recognizing an incorrect pediatric medication order, nominated by Kayla Engelhardt. Kara realized that there had been an incorrect medication order placed for pediatric patients. The order was placed, reviewed by pharmacy, and then the medication was brought to the ED for administration. When Kara realized this was incorrect for the patient, had Kara not been the last double check before administering the medication to the patient, there could have been harm. Great catch, Kara. So congratulations to carrying that. Our non-clinical award winner is Haley Preston, who is here, housekeeping aide. Reason for nomination was speaking up when noticing non-transported samples, nominated by Andrea Graham. Haley notified the SOP charge nurse and manager that specimens were piling up in the dirty utility room and they hadn't been collected for the OR and scopes for 3 days. The manager was able to investigate and then contact pathology to make sure the specimens were picked up by the end of the week. Patients are waiting for pathology results, and with Haley noticing and informing people via the proper channels, we were able to make sure there were no further delays in services. Congratulations, Haley. As you all know, there's a charm for her ID badge and a gift card and everything. And also there's some sort of recognition.
Yeah, there are banners that go in the departments or the unit. Sometimes with housekeeping, put it out in other public areas instead of in the back hallway where no one can see. And recognition here and a certificate and then a letter to your leader for your file. And
Jason, I think will also wash your car. Is that right, Jason? You can at least walk around like you own the place. Congratulations. Thank you.
So you can get some photos. Perfect.
How about this one? Thank you for doing that.
They grab a photo. We will move on to Department Spotlight, Food and Nutrition. Jim. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Hello, everyone here. I know me. Hi, I'm Jim Gallagher. I'm the director of our food and nutrition services and diabetes education. And I'm the registered here. So, hey, I have a few slides. You can ask questions. I figured 10 minutes or so. Yeah. And
You bring samples over?
Right.
Yeah, I guess I just want to showcase our department and what we do and up for any questions if you have questions about our department and our food service and nutrition. And then I'm also in charge of our nutrition education and diabetes program. And then a couple of years back, we opened a virtual dietitian program serving other critical access hospitals in the state of Washington. So I have some slides on that. So I just thinking about our department, and this is what I start every one of my department meetings with when I'm on a monthly basis with my staff, is that we look at our vision. And I'm a pretty and we have our food services, two distinct, at least in my mind, two distinct food services. We have a food service where we're providing for our patients. And then we have a restaurant in our hospital which feeds a lot of people. And so when it comes to our restaurant, our cafe, the bottom line is we just need to feed people and make sure they're happy and fed. One thing that I try to impress upon my staff is that you don't have a direct connection face to face with the patient, but you are so important because there are people in the ED department, nursing staff, doctors, surgery. They have a 30-minute break and they need to come to a place that's calm, relaxing, get good food. And that's going to impact patient care. Because if they have a bad experience, it might and not be so good for our patients. So I try to impress that upon them. So we need to feed people. We need our customers are the same customers every single day. And so we need to have a fresh food. So things that are always different and are good. And then a relaxing friendly atmosphere. On the flip side of that, our second food service that we have is with our patients and serving our patients. And so if you think about being in the hospital, sometimes it's the worst day of your life that you're in the hospital and you have no control over anything. It really is. I don't know if you've experienced that. I've had a couple of personal interactions where it's just like, wow, I have no control over anything that's happening with myself right now. But then if you can get a nice meal that you want and that's comforting to you, that can make a big difference. And I see it, I hear it actually from the patients all the time when I visit them, how important that is to them. So mentally comforting is one of our visions, and then also nutrients. So we have therapeutic diets, and it's part of the care plan, part of the healing plan for patients to serve them food that is going to help them heal. So that's our vision. It's pretty straightforward and something that's very, very important. So what's unique about and this is our food service for our patients. What's unique about that is that we're very old school. I mean, we have handwritten menus. We have that person right there, Yasmin, who does a fantastic job. I have another fantastic person, Anna, on the weekends. They have a 4-year bachelor's degree in nutrition, and they are the liaison between the patient and our food service and our food delivery. And you don't see this in a lot of hospitals where there's a person that will go inpatient room, talk to the patient face to face, do a nutrition screen, any swallowing problems, any chewing problems, any food allergies, intolerances, what foods do you like, what foods do you hate, and then provide that food for them. And so we're very old school on that. And I don't ever want to change that. And we're a small enough hospital that we can get away with that. If you go to larger hospitals, they have a room service model where the patient will call down to the food service department, and then they would get their meals delivered to them. And so this is very personalized. I really like it. Yeah. So another thing about our old schoolness is that we have handwritten menus, and we have, this is just a sample. This is our cardiac menu here that we use. And so we have a number of different items, but we don't have to stat. And that's kind of one of the cool things about having a dietitian involved all the time, and then having someone with a degree in nutrition, our dietary technician, involved all the time. And I have in here is the chocolate sauce. So it could be real simple. Like if a patient gets some ice cream, you get a little chocolate syrup on them, that could make their day. Yeah, that could make their day. So we will try to have that focus to serve the patient as much as we can. And I know I always find myself that, like, hey, the patient wants what? Well, we don't have that here. So I will go to the grocery store and get what we need for the patient. So we always have the yes mentality, and as best we can within the therapeutic limits of what we can serve the patient. Yeah. And this is also nice too. I don't know if you see those little abbreviations behind each food. So that's a learning point for patients as well. So this is our cardiac menu. One of the things we do is restrict, and that's the sodium content of each one of those foods. So that could be a learning thing. And I use that when I do nutrition consults with patients. I just grab their menu off their tabletop and say, hey, look right here. Here's what you're eating. Here's how much sodium is in it. And it's a real nice learning tool. Okay. So this is also my, I walk to work most mornings. It gives me a chance to have some gratitude. And these guys are the best. So I was calculating how much experience they have. And it's kind of crazy for us to have this amount of experience. So Darcy's on the left there. If you've eaten at a restaurant in Ellensburg, she might have been your cook in 41 years. Yeah. Barrett's in the back there. He's new to us, but he's got 16 years. He moved from Boston to this area, and he had his own restaurant in Boston. Phil has been in the community forever, and he started in 1982. Took a little hiatus from working. He has a great photography business, but now he's back. So 29 years, and then. On the far right is Kelly, and if you've ever eaten at the Dakota Cafe, she's past owner. And then our cornerstone or our keystone in our whole operation is Stephanie, who's in the middle there. She makes sure that we have menus, we have food, we have people doing stuff, and her attention to detail is amazing. And so that's not everyone, but that's a lot of them. And my philosophy as a director there is that those people know so much more than I do about that stuff. So I let them go. I just some guardrails. We need to do this stuff, but then it's up to you and your expertise. So it makes my job really easy because I don't have the expertise that those folks have. So that's great. Yeah. I'm excited to work with those people. So moving on to our nutrition services and diabetic education. We have this nice program, and Nicole Norton, who's been here for quite a while, is our registered dietitian and our certified diabetic educator. And then Lauren Hudlin, who's been with us for a few years now, she also participates. And with Lauren, we're able to open or to have Saturday appointments, which have been very popular, and to see patients on the weekend. And so just a quick figure here. So they completed between the two of them, 959 appointments in 2025, which is a pretty good volume, It's almost 1,000 appointments and about, half and half with nutrition and diabetes.
Do you know how many unique patients approximately that would be? Are there a lot of people who are coming in for one appointment or?
Yeah, they have some follow-up. That's a great question.
But is it mostly people come in for one or two?
Usually no more than 3 appointments.
I see. Okay, so you don't have anyone
times
who's
it's
coming in.
A lot of times it's just one, and
Okay, all right. So that gives me a good sense.
yeah. But it's a lot of volume. Yeah, it's a lot of volume. And they do a good job. a patient can usually get in and see them within a week. Yeah, particularly because we've opened up a Friday and the weekends as well. That's really helped. Yeah. And we also provide services up in Cleelum one day a week. Yeah. And then,
One of them goes up to Cleo.
yeah, every Wednesday, Nicole will go up to Cleelum.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so then we have virtual dietitian. And so we have a person that does not work on our campus. Her name's Maria Jimena Williams. And her dad was my economics teacher back in Central a long time ago. Yeah. And so and we have 8 facilities under contract right now. Yeah, some of them are a lot busier than others, but we're there if we need them. Our relationship with Snoqualmie Valley Hospital, that's a pretty busy place. And we spend a lot of time with those folks. That's Maria Jimena's where she spends most of her time. Yeah. Yeah.
What does this work look like? Or is that what you're going into?
How does a virtual dietitian
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cool. So we have remote access into the EMR of each one of the facilities, and we curtail it to what facility wants. Some facilities would like us to screen all the patients on a daily basis. If there's new admissions, we do a nutrition screening from the EMR. The dietitian will determine the nutrition risk, and if they need to have an interaction or a counseling session with the patient. They will also follow up with the nursing staff and with providers directly as well. And so some other facilities would like to only use our services by referral. So if they have a patient that the provider or the nursing staff thinks needs some nutrition attention, then they will contact us. Yeah. So then it's kind of cool. We do the screen in the EMR, and then we set up an appointment with the patient, and then they wheel a computer into the room, and then we have a face-to-face with the patient. Yeah. And then we could do the appropriate follow-up. Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty good service. We bill by the hour, just straight up labor. Yeah. Okay. My last slide. I just want to thank you guys because this is my 33-year anniversary now working as a dietitian in hospitals and stuff, and feel well supported. That's good. I appreciate that from administration and board. Yeah.
You take care of us really well.
Yeah.
Quite right.
We appreciate it.
Any questions?
Question?
Comment. Anecdotally, I've had a couple of family members here, and much as they'd rather not be in the hospital, they've just raved about the food and the attention and care that was put into making sure that they had not only what they need, but what they were interested in and what would nourish their soul as well as their
It's super important. It really
Thank you.
is.
But I think it says, because I've talked to a few people that they're not patients here and they don't work here, but they come eat lunch.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like that says a lot.
It does. Yeah.
And I was gonna say, how busy is our cafe? Is it busy, considered busy, or could it be busier? Do you want it to be busier? I think if you want it to be busier, we just need to let the public know. This is the most
I know,
experienced.
I know. I that's a double-edged sword. And I thought about that. Like, we don't have our menu listed online,
No,
and we could. So yeah, we could be busier. We are busy.
Mhm.
I mean, today was at lunch because I helped serve and cook and stuff today because we were a little bit short. I was just like, wow. That's what it is. Yeah. We could be busier, but we are pretty busy. The remodel is super nice. It really, but it seems like sometimes we outgrow that space already. Yeah. Yeah, we could be busier.
and for customers in the cafe, you're open at segments of the day. You're not like from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You have open and then close for a little while and then open again, or how does it work?
We've modified that. So we have, we start 6:30 in the morning for breakfast, and that goes until 9:30 in the morning. And then we have a half an hour where we're closed, and then at 10 o'clock, we are open for service. It's not complete service, but we have à la carte things like hamburgers, chicken strips, our salad bars available. And then at 11:30, we have a main item that comes out, and it's an 8-week cycle that rotates. And like today, we had French dip sandwiches with onion rings, but those wouldn't have been available until 11:30, close at 1:30, and then all that stuff stays open until we close at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a building that's about 2 blocks from here that was a private hotel, and they used to come down every morning and buy a lot of food.
Yeah.
To have at their hotel. Do they still do that? Because I knew that we had a lot of food come out of the hospital and go someplace else. Does that still happen?
I don't know about that specific hotel, but we do have a nice group of locals that come in consistently and have breakfast and lunch and sometimes even dinner. Yeah, there's some senior housing in the area, and there's a group of people that would take advantage of our good pricing and our food. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we have a lot of community, but it could be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do a marketing campaign.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. I do have a couple of slides hidden just in
Yeah,
case the
please.
topic came up.
Yeah.
About finances, but
We love hidden slides.
Yeah, what you got?
should we-
Show us more about the finances.
So I put this together. This is 2025. I presented this to my staff. This is 11 months of data from our main food service vendor, US Foods, who we get deliveries from twice a week. And you can see the price per pound is how I get data from them. And so we do pretty good. This right here, if you want a pet peeve of mine, is a lot of money on stuff we throw away. And I don't know how to get around that.
Is that like leftover food that's expiring, or what is it?
It's
Like- Like
Go
products.
to-go containers.
Plastic works.
Those containers back there.
I'm not making eye contact right now.
So we had a crappie project last year to address that, and we couldn't do anything. We're trying to do a whole bunch of reusable stuff, and anyway, we spend a lot of money on stuff we throw away. Yeah, but anyway, so price there, and then I just show this real quick. This is and there's a missing link here. So this is the red is the cost of the food each month, 11 months. And then the revenue that we get, those 2 peaks there in revenue, that's when we had 3 pay periods in a month for our staff. Yeah. And so there's it doesn't quite match up, but it does, because one thing that we don't have on this slide is the food that we buy for 14,739 patient meals that we served. So there's about 1,225 patient meals that are about $10,000 a month, if not more. And so it does match up. Yeah. So I try to price things out. We have a 42% factor is what I use. And so I take the food cost divided by 0.42, and that gives our retail price. If we're a regular restaurant, we'd be out of business in about 3 or 4 days. Yeah, it's more like a 22% versus 42, but we're feeding a lot of our employees, and so it's a really nice benefit for them. Yeah, and then if I could kind of make those 2 lines nice and close to you, I feel good. Yeah. And that's another thing that the hospital helps support, because what's not in here is labor. Yeah.
Is it surprising that the poultry is essentially the same price as beef/pork? It's different at the grocery store.
It is different at the grocery store. It's the quality of the beef. Like, for instance, our French dip that we had today, is a real nice piece of prime rib. That's been sliced and very nice. And so my factor of 42 is actually out the door with something like that. And so that the prime rib was, I think, like $7 or something, maybe a little over $7. That would be something that would be about $18, $19 in a restaurant. And so with back to the beef, we don't get the really expensive stuff all the time, but we do get some nice stuff. Yeah. And that's actually not too surprising. Let me go back. Yeah. The poultry and the beef, and that's beef pork too. Pork is pretty sweet. Yeah.
Is there any food that you don't use anymore? Because I know the hospital up in Wenatchee quit giving French fries out because the person that was running it didn't think French fries were very good for people. I was this morning whether there's any food.
Terry, I think I'd be run out of town. If I got rid of French fries,
What?
or if I got rid of French fries or tater tots, I think I'd be out of town.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, actually the trend is, but food trends, more towards just fresh single ingredient stuff. And so we're trying to have more and more of those options available. One of our projects we have for 2026 is our patient menu and having it more plant-based, really paying attention to the quality of the fat in it and have a single ingredient. I don't think we're too far off from that, but we can do better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time tonight. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
Your
Jim.
team.
Your team's been very accommodating, I know, for patients and
Yeah.
staff, I know for
Yeah.
at least family members that I've had in, your team's been there
Yeah,
at
they're-
that
they're-
face-to-face consult, and it's very special to have that.
Yeah.
And when you're discharged, typically people remember the food they ate over anything else in the hospital. So
There's no survey.
yeah, it would work out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you. Oh, Mariner. All right, so we are on to public comment and announcements.
JCA.
Yeah.
Say again?
We have this presentation. Yeah, presentation C.
It's not, I don't, I have the.
You have the first one.
My apologies. I have been. So, yes, next presentation, JJCA. And so they're online, is that?
You're on there.
Perfect.
I see
Yes,
'em.
we're online. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Jennifer, Jason, is there anything you want to say to kind of kick us off?
So you know that, yes, I do, I will, thank you. We had JJCA come out and take a look at both our Cleveland Primary Care Clinic and our emergency department. Knowing that we wanted to do a master facility plan, but also knowing we had some pain points, some big pain points, in the ED and also with rehab moving out of the Cleveland Clinic, we wanted to see what we could do there in the short term. So tonight, Jason and David are gonna present some concept designs and tell you how we get to where we think we want to go.
Perfect.
That's right. Thank you, Jennifer. And thanks everybody for having us tonight. So we met back in October, early October. We met with Cleveland and met with some leadership folks there and one of the physicians and went through kind of high level, what are the pain points? Where do you want to go? Where would you like to be able to go in the future? And develop some concepts from that. It's a phased concept. So kind of, you can see big picture that I'll show you in a minute, where we could go. And then how do we get there in an integral or a step-by-step kind of phased approach, knowing that you don't need the whole thing right off the bat, and you also need to keep the facility running. So what we try to do in the first couple of phases is basically build a chassis for the building so that it has the ability to grow as you need it to. Some of the big picture things that we heard that they need space for more doctors, very clear circulation path for patients and also for staff, and the ability for staff to not have to walk a long distance to be able to get to the things that they need. We heard that larger exam rooms would be helpful. So all of the new exam rooms that we would be building are 10 by 12, which helps with accessibility issues. The patient toilets, all the new ones, would also be accessible. And we set up the pods so that they're all the same or a similar layout. Not every one of them works out exactly the same because of renovation, but there's a lot of similarity to them. We also heard that behavioral offices were kind of scattered around the building, and it made sense to consolidate the behavioral function into one area. So I will show all this in a plan in just a second, but I want to kind of hit the high points of what we heard when we were there. And when we talked with Hospital District 2 a couple of weeks ago, our understanding is we needed your input first in order to get their approval to modify their building. So my understanding at this point is we'll probably look for a motion to proceed with phases 1 and 2 that I'll show you in a minute. And Jennifer may have a little more detail on that, but just from a budget standpoint, I think that's where she's working toward. So with that, let me share my screen. Well, hold on just a minute. Is anybody able to see my screen yet?
Yes.
Okay, and it's a floor plan.
Yes.
All right, good. The setup on the Zoom looks a little different from what I'm used to seeing. So this is at the end of phase 5, and I'll walk you
Jason?
through. Yes.
Are you able to go full screen on that image rather than kind of edit mode just to make it as large as possible? And if not, carry on. It's I guess zooming works too. Thank you.
Is that better?
It's an improvement, yes.
Okay. So this is overall floor plan in the end. The green areas are places where you could grow even further in the future, if we needed to go that way, but this creates enough space for 10 to 12 positions. So kind of to show you the front door and where get you oriented. Front door stays right where it is with the vestibule, front canopy. Waiting space ends up getting modified a little bit. We still have the 2-story space, and it's still large, but it's not quite as large as it is today. And we move registration out into that area, which creates a place for registration, clinic manager, the business office area, phone triage, and nurse exam. So those functions that are currently in this area today move over to allow them to be modified as part of the phase process. And what this does is it sets us up to have the behavioral area all in one pod near the front door, so they're not having to walk far into the building. You can walk in, check in at the registration, and then come back into that doctor's area. This is set up with 3 behavioral offices and 2 exam rooms. Some of our conversations with Hospital District 2, they wanted to make some adjustments with this as far as the number of spaces. So we'll talk about those kinds of things when we get to the schematic design level and we're actually meeting with patients or with staff about how they want to use those spaces and what they want to be able to set up for the future. this space could easily be converted to more typical primary care kind of doctor offices in the future very easily. So this also sets us up to be able to have a very clear line of circulation with this central corridor running the full length of the building. And all of the doctor pods are oriented off of it. So it makes circulation for patients and visitors and family members very, very clear and easy. Check in at the registration, come back through the main door, and walk the entire corridor to your doctor's pod. And all of these doctor's pods, again, are set up very similarly. So when you walk in this one, for instance, there are 3 exam rooms, there are physicians' offices, a patient toilet that's a handicapped accessible, and medical assistant space that's all your doctor in that area. And then the next one is set up very similarly, and they have shared physician office spaces. So if you have a doctor that only needs 2 exam rooms, and you had 3 of those, you could actually put 3 physicians in this space. If each physician needs 3 exam rooms, then there's enough room for 2. So this is a very flexible workspace. It's not a single doctor's office where they close the door and they're closed in. It's open where they can move quickly from one side to the next. And the medical assistant area is set up the same way. And each of these pods is very similar to that layout. This allows us also to have a staff hallway along the backside. So staff toilet, a quiet workroom, clean storage, soiled holding, and equipment storage are all along that corridor. And on the other side, it's set up as a mirror image of that. So again, we have the staff hallway that leads the length of the building. With this, the lab and the medication room and the x-ray and the blood draw all stay the way they are currently. What we heard from staff is that there's enough room in those spaces, and they like the layout enough that they would rather keep that the way it is and not spend the money to modify those. And the x-ray has enough throughput to be able to accommodate additional patients and doctors very easily. If we get to a point where we're growing into these green spaces, we may have to rethink that and expand to an additional x-ray room. Something else that we heard from staff was the need for some public conference room kind of space. And so we've taken what is currently the staff entry area and left it as it is, but it could also become a public entrance for after hours meetings. And we converted the physical therapy room that is here into a conference room that could be used for those public conferences. And it's also could be the staff break room. And then the staff locker room would be in this space right next to that back door. So that's big picture where we see the potential to go at the end of 5 phases of construction. And this could be done, one phase at a time as you need it. So I wanted to, before I go to the phases, are there any questions?
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, that center hallway where there's going to be a lot of traffic, how wide is that?
It's 8 feet.
8 feet? And the hallways on the sides, are they the same?
No, they're 6 feet.
6, okay. Yep.
Dr. Hoppy, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there any kind of procedural rooms or rooms where we could like do stress testing or echoes or any kind of a little bigger room to accommodate those types of things?
There's one that is dedicated procedure room, and then the other exam rooms are set up as 10 by 12, which should be large enough for most of those. If there's a need for additional larger procedure rooms, we could look at how we could lay out some additional space to accommodate that.
And so you got feedback from the providers up there before you started this process? Is that my understanding?
I believe there was one provider that was included.
Have you got feedback on this revision from any of the staff or providers up there?
Yes. Yes, we've reviewed this with them at least once, maybe twice. I'm trying to remember.
This is Dr. Thomas. Yeah, we've gone over this several times with separate subsets of the providers. And at this point, it looks like it will be maximally flexible for our future needs.
So you're giving it a thumbs up is what I'm hearing.
I give it a thumbs up.
Perfect. Jason, back to you. So the green area to the right of the yellow is potential future expansion. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, so what we could do is extend this hallway out and then set up another doctor pod, possibly two, if we wanted to take up that real estate on the site.
So you wouldn't need to demolish anything in the yellow to access that potential future space is what you're envisioning.
Right.
Okay.
Our ask going into this was, what can we do right now with the existing interior to maximize the space with PT moving out, and then phases out to double our capacity, which is in the white. And then I think after they presented it, I said, well, what if we want to double again? And that's where the green came from.
Okay, so
Right.
everything in the white and yellow stays within the current footprint.
No, there
No.
there is some addition to make this happen.
Yep.
And I'll
It's
show
just
you
the
that in a
first two
second.
phases are within the current walls.
Is there any way you can show that? Because now I'm really confused
Yes,
as to
yes,
what our
yes.
options for phases are.
Absolutely. So this is phase one. So this is all within the existing building footprint. So again, we've got the front door, vestibule, the waiting area gets a little smaller, and that allows the existing reception area, referral booth, triage, all of those functions to be able to move into this space, which then frees up this real estate to begin to create the first series of pods, and that first one being the behavioral health pod that I'll show you next. And that you can ignore some of these comments. These are notes from previous conversations that we've had with Hospital District 1 and other staff as well. So this creates that first behavioral health pod.
Which can also be used as from other doctors as well.
Right,
So
right.
flexible space.
And that frees up, immediately it frees up, I think there are 2 or 3 current behavioral health offices that are kind of scattered about. This is one, and I know there's at least one other that would free up those spaces because those functions would move into this pod. And so that would automatically give you some other exam room or office type space without even having to do any work. Then the third phase would be the first addition to the building. That's when this first section of what I would call the interstate highway gets extended out, and we build the first kind of pod and a half. So this is a full pod with 3 exam rooms, space for medical assistants and physicians, and a patient toilet. And then this one gets kind of a double pod with the same layout. And then the fourth phase renovates this entire existing block. The spaces on the left side essentially stay in their current layout. Some of the spaces are reassigned, but then the other space, this area is largely renovated to begin to repeat that pattern of the exam rooms and doctor spaces. So by the end of this phase, you've got, two doctors, one doctor, and then 2 doctors. And then you still have this space.
They see all the phasing preserves continuity of service, so there's no disruption to service other than walking around barriers.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And then the fifth and final phase would be removing this part and converting it into a larger pod that has the bigger exam rooms and has the same layout as the rest of the other pods, all accessible from the interstate highway.
Does
Some
that
of the
help
things that
explain the phasing? Help you understand how we walk through it?
What's our goal for this discussion? What do you want to end up with?
So what we would like is, a vote to move forward in discussions with HD2 and also our concept designs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there would still be another vote to go bid and have a more design work done. So
I
more
think
finalized design.
HD2 wants to know that they have your support in changing their building. So it's gonna be a little bit of hand holding along the way, I think, to get us there, but I think we need that from you in order to.
And then she too will talk with about lease terms and that as well. So if we're investing a large amount into not our building, we'll
Yes, we
want
talked about
a
that.
significantly longer lease.
This,
Go ahead, please.
oh, just the proposed arrangement here of workspace and flows seems to mimic what I've seen in ortho and a little bit of third floor Mac. And that's been a kind of tried and true system. It's appreciated by staff as well.
Yeah, and it's more your industry standard right now, so that's where we didn't have to have JJCA come in and look at Mac. I think they did, but that is just the normal building style for
As
physician areas.
from staff, these are smaller bullpen areas. They're not as large as the FME building where you've got 12 people in a bullpen. They're similar. Ortho sits with 6, and that definitely helps keep the noise down in the clinic for staff.
And you know, what we have in our budget this year is phase 1 and 2, so, so moving the reception and clearing the behavioral health out and adding them up there, so that's what we have budgeted for this year. That, I don't know if you just wanna, Jason, help, how would we go about? Would we just go about doing the plans for phase 1 and 2, or? I think I put in the budget the whole thing for the plans. Do you remember my conversation? For
Yeah, I believe.
architectural drawings, but that we would just look at phase 1 and 2 this first go up.
And you're referring to me, Jason, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason.
Yes.
P.
Yes. Yes, we had given you fee proposal for doing the whole thing. And I believe that's what you wanted to move forward with. And the way we would set this up, if we know that it's the first 2 phases that you're most likely going to want to move forward with, but you want the design for the rest of it, we could set those up as separate drawing packages, and we can talk through the details of that. That way you're only moving forward with the part that you know you will fund in the short term, but you've got the design for the rest of it. And we could do just, schematic design for the rest of it, so you're not spending a ton of money on a full design for something that you're not sure when you're going to move forward with. So there's some flexibility in how we do that, and we could have those conversations as we get further along.
And we have a finance section to have to consider a motion
For this here.
How's, with the new going up to phase 5, is there still plenty of parking for patients and?
Phase 5 starts to move into the parking lot area. So we would lose some parking spaces on the backside. There's been some discussion about utilizing patient parking over by the church building for staff, which puts them kind of, pretty close to the staff entrance anyway. And most folks seem to be very agreeable to that approach. And that leaves the entire existing parking lot for patients only.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners?
And he's gonna show you the ED.
Okay, so for this one, as far as any vote, that's gonna come later during finance. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so if you want to move on to the emergency department, let's take a look at what your thoughts are there.
Okay, so we met with emergency department folks at the same time back in October, and we took two approaches. This was before we had the full discussion about are we going to move forward with the master plan. So there was a conversation about a long-term, if we stay on this campus in this building, what's the long-term solution? What could it be for the emergency department to grow considerably larger? So we looked at that approach, but then after getting more feedback from Jason and his team, it sounded like a short-term solution and moving into a full master plan for the entire campus would be the more likely way to move forward. So we've developed the long-term solution for the emergency department, but I don't plan to show that to you unless you just want to see it. And what I've got on the screen now is the short-term solution.
I think the important thing
Can I
there.
pause you? Can I pause you for a second, Jason?
Sure.
This overview doesn't represent the current facility, does it?
Yes.
This has included the expansion?
It's in the middle of the expansion renovation. You can see the footings there, but the ER
Right.
is still, when they zoom in, you
Right.
see exam rooms and stuff. It is what it is in the ER at least.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Continue.
Okay. David, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think the reason we went on and did a long-term ER as a part of this is we didn't want you to spend money on some short-term improvements that had to be reworked again if you were to do a longer-term vision. And so the good thing is what we're showing to be done soon will work as a part of something bigger if that's where the master plan leads us.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So again, on this one, I'll show you kind of what the end goal is. Some of the things that we heard when we met with staff was we desperately need more exam space. You're seeing patients out in the corridors and using the corridor as exam space. So we're trying to avoid having to do that. We also heard that mental health patients are taking up exam space for a long period of time, and it's a big deal to have to convert a typical exam space and get it ready for a mental health patient. So addressing that issue. More efficient staff work areas was a big concern. And the triage, admitting, waiting kind of process, getting patients admitted was also something that everybody wanted to look at. So this is at the end of phase 4. And ultimately at the end of this, we would have 11 exam rooms. And we could make at least 2 of them, and we would need to determine exactly which ones would be dedicated to mental health exam rooms. So those would be hardened rooms with anti-ligature fixtures and devices, and where you have cabinetry and outlets, we would have a coiling door that can close down and close those off so you keep those patients safe in a hardened space. One of those spaces was exam room number 5. And then we've had several conversations that were inconclusive as to which other exam space would become the mental health room. So we would still have to have that conversation during the next phase of design. So I'm going to walk you through this plan and show you where this would wind up, and then I can show you phase by phase what it would be, because this one is going to be work going on in your ER. It's going to be pretty intrusive, but we're trying to do it one small step at a time so that you can continue full use of the space as full as possible. So starting at the front, there's a little bit of work in the waiting room to reconfigure it and create a space for the security, a security space in the waiting area. The office that's back here, it stays in its current location. Unfortunately, he would have to go through the secure space to get to it. That's not ideal. So we've talked about some potential options to address that concern that we'll have to work through during schematic design. There's a 3-hour firewall that follows my cursor through the space that makes things much more challenging. So we have to deal with that code issue as well as just the complexity of having a pretty tight space already. So there's that secure room. Then there are 2 triage rooms that open to the waiting room. Large 4-foot doors allow patients to come in, be triaged, and then taken out the backside and into the appropriate exam room. To make to add additional exam spaces, we moved the break room function out of the break area and put it over by the triage rooms. And there was an existing equipment storage room in this area that also has the electrical panels in it if you've been in that space. But that equipment storage function moves out into this space. The electrical room just stays where it is because it's so expensive to move electrical panels. We leave it where it's at, but that leaves room for 2 new exam spaces. And then the other exam spaces stay where they are. Like I said before, a couple of them get converted to mental health exam rooms. Then the existing triage room becomes an exam room. That moves the exam room that is currently right here out and allows this entire block to become a staff support space. So nourishment, meds, clean supply are all in one big enclosed room instead of scattered around the department.
Okay, and where do you check in for emergency department?
You check in at the waiting room at the triage space.
Is there is that a window? I can't really tell. Is there a window and a desk where people would walk up to?
Yes, there is at the security desk. There is glass across here. And one of the conversations we had more recently was that there's room here for a security person and also somebody that could check somebody in.
What is the size of that spot right there?
It's about 7 by 10 as far as this rectangle.
Trying to get my bearings on scale here.
Dr. Hoppy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. I know we're talking a lot about space and where these rooms are located, but how does that fit into like the demographics, the types of patients we're going to be seeing in the ER? You know, what are we growing in terms of like, you know, what levels our trauma program? Where do we foresee our trauma program going? You know, do we have more people that are older moving into the county, from my understanding, and less younger people? Has anyone looked at the demographics and how that fits with what we're thinking about doing and expanding this?
Yeah, this is a very short term right now need. So Holly could probably speak to the need out there that probably should start thinking of this 8 years or so ago for our current workflows. Full master site study, JCA will get into more depth and anticipating and forecasting out volumes and needs and demographic.
Needs to be bigger. They've got patients in the hallways. I'm sure you've seen it. Can be quite a mess. As a couple of you can attest, right?
I would have questions about like the safety and security of being able to go through the triage spaces. Like, currently our ED doors are very secure, and how could that? I guess the safety would be my concern, because being able to go
Lockdown
through.
type of thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
because then if you get through that triage and through that corridor, you have access to everywhere
Hmm.
in imaging. You know.
Right. With this plan, we would need to be able to lock down this pair of doors to prevent patients from being able to get into the rest of the hospital.
This is a
We-
little
we
bit
can't hear you,
earlier in
David.
concept. This is a little earlier in concept than Van Med Cleom as well, so we do plan to get this in front of the whole ER team for further feedback still.
The triage doors that open from the waiting room would always be locked. And staff have to open those doors to invite somebody in. So the security perimeter that you have now
Yeah.
stays pretty much intact. It just has a couple of more doors in it. But what we've historically done with those is leave them locked. They stay closed all the time. A staff member controls the access, and that's worked well. But with the doors that Jason pointed out earlier being on the lock system, you can hit a button and this entire ER, everything inside of it would be locked down.
Who so far has ER staff had a chance to look at this, and what is
Not all ER staff.
feedback been?
A few people have, and Cody. Cody's been involved in a little bit. Yeah, and small services.
Are they pretty
Yeah,
satisfied?
and I had a separate meeting with
They
Cody.
still have a lot of suggestions.
I think we have room to allow others to participate.
What is the ask tonight for, is this just getting this in front of us to, just for our knowledge? We're not doing anything as a board with this particular portion yet?
Well, we can't really go forward without more okay to go forward with plans where they get into the detail and they meet the staff and they so
I just would be very mindful of any sort of approval from the board, looking like we're approving this particular plan because we value so much the input of people who work in that environment. I wouldn't want them to think that this is where we're hoping it's going to go. If it doesn't, it's something so we don't get paid.
Right. I think the ask for tonight is approval to move forward with design and having those meetings with staff and developing the design.
Yeah, so you're not approving the design, it's approving us basically to contract with JJCA to take it further in that design work. So you will still be approving a design. Approving it to bid.
But there'll be cost incurred in what we approve. And we have those numbers then when we get to it.
that is included in the budget that we have on the capital budget. The plans to move this short-term piece forward are in there.
Yeah.
But not
And
broken
they're
out.
operating expenses, so it's part of your approval for operating budget.
It was capital.
So those that are working the ER, do you guys have any initial,
I work in surgical outpatient.
Okay.
Lily would probably give you.
I am a
Good
former ER employee, so I don't speak necessarily for the ER. But there's just definitely a few concerns that I'm seeing looking at these plans.
security concerns or?
Safety concerns, actually.
Okay.
So a 4-foot door in and out of triage. How do you get a stretcher in there to help a patient who's coding out of the triage room? Do you drag them by their feet? So it just seems like maybe those is not big enough for a stretcher. No, 4 feet's that.
A 4-foot door is the typical door to a patient room. It's the widest single door we can do under the building codes. Most of your doors now are 3-foot doors or sliding doors on the exam rooms. we have started going to just making almost everything a 4-foot door because the wheelchairs and that mobility are so important. We can talk to staff about doing a 4 and a 2-foot door, so you get a 6-foot opening if they want to be able to do that.
And then like also triage just feeling so isolated away from the rest of the department. In my experience, triage has been one nurse and
It's a lot of like chargers too.
yeah. And how do you call for assistance? So it's just something to consider.
Like Jason said, this is an approval of the plans because we absolutely need to have staff input. So it's approval to move forward, and then we will start meeting with the staff and showing them these plans and getting their feedback, because it's going to be their working space. It's essential that they're involved in those decisions.
Yes.
And our thought of keeping it within the walls that we currently have, the exterior walls that we currently have, is because it gets, well, obviously it gets far more expensive once we start looking at expanding the overall footprint. I just wanted to check, that's not something that we're interested in doing at this time.
Well, we don't know if we're going to build on a new piece of property that we have or here. So this was really, the ask of the architects was to remove the current pain point.
Yeah.
While we're doing a master facility plan.
Yeah,
So
just thinking about surgery and the
Yeah.
significant expense.
Yes.
That was, even though it's still on this chassis, the ED is just.
I'm
mean, the
sure
current-
they'd be happy
Yeah.
to.
I don't want to suggest that that's where we need to go with this, but I just wouldn't want to preclude that if that is the choice that needs to be made. I just don't want to, I don't know, I'm not a designer. I don't know what it really means to leave the opportunity to expand outward if we need to and not lose a lot in
Yeah.
this.
Well, I think
pinch
they
point.
could probably speak to that if we, the long-term plan suggests that we stay here and expand the ED out, right? So, so that it's difficult, because we know we're doing this master plan, so it's, I think it's difficult to make that choice until you have the master plan done, right? That's all. I mean,
Current one is 26 years now, right? So a lot of shit has changed, our patient volume, the type of patients we're seeing.
Yeah.
Staff safety changes. I mean, it's a whole different game, really.
Yep.
So, yeah. I think staff safety's.
And what they talked about the intro of this is this work doesn't preclude or change if we decide to expand the whole footprint of this campus. That would be then us saying at the end of this master site study, which will be in the fall. Now we want to stay right here. We haven't done anything that would cause us to pause on the phases that they're working on here to help ease the current burdens that are not finalized. But we would just be moving forward to the next phase, getting further staff input for their final drawings. And then the board would be approving drawings, and we'd have all that stuff input by then. We
maybe,
won't be able to get everything that everybody wants because we are very landlocked down there. So it's a tight space. I know Cody and Deb, and I think Dr. Schmelzer and JJCA went through a lot of different permutations to try to get to here. But that was
and,
I think the big pain points we heard were if we could get a couple of more exam rooms, which this gets 3 more. If we could get a couple of exam rooms that could be locked down quicker and easier for mental health patients, which this plan does. If we could get consolidated storage and support spaces so that we're not having to run all over the department to go one room to get meds, one room to get a Band-Aid, et cetera. This plan does that. And then put more capacity in triage, since there's only one room now. That ability to get patients in, assessed, and to a room was another one they asked for. And then in the nurse and physician areas, there's some changes in the layout to give them a little more breakup and privacy without where they can't work together. So they want to continue to work as a team, but have space where doctors can get and dictate and chart and be aware of what's going on, but not be in the middle of everything. And so this expands that space as well. So it really is, if you were to start a new ER with an addition, probably 3 years from today before you move in, moving aggressively. The idea here was you could do something that gets you some improvement in the next year while the other is being worked on, rather than having to wait for that 3 years or more to get anything done to the ER. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes. So do the commissioners have any more questions they want to ask? And so we'll come back to this during finance to actually do the motion and so forth. So, all right, Jason and David, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up this section here?
I think that covers this.
Okay.
No, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for presenting tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you both.
You're
Yeah.
very welcome.
All right, have a good day.
All right, you too.
All right, so moving on from presentations, we are now to public comments and announcements. Does anyone have public comment they'd like to offer up tonight?
Yes, I'll go.
Okay, so if you're gonna go now, I have to say the rules. So we're gonna do a 3-minute timer. And so just do your best to keep within 3 minutes. And so whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to read off my phone because I did not memorize this. Dear members of the board, my name is Amelia Vanacek, and I am a nurse here at KVH. I am here today to express concern regarding the recent rollout of UKG. UKG was something that I've been hearing about since September. Regardless of how much time you have to prepare for change, it's hard. But one thing that we can control is preparation and education for change that we know is coming. Unfortunately, there has been a serious breakdown in that process. Sorry, this is
Okay,
everything.
doing great.
As an employee, I see that there has been inadequate training for all staff on how to use this system. I've attended the pre-launch training, which just consisted of logging into the system, and I was told more training was on the way. Once UKG went live, there was a 30-minute training offered on Tuesday afternoon in the computer lab to all staff to drop in and ask questions. As you can imagine, there was too many questions for people to get all their questions answered in the allotted time. I left the session with more questions than I came with. Even our managers and directors have not received the information needed to help guide us through the change. I am concerned that the lack of training is going to lead to incorrect paychecks and scheduling errors. It has already led to wasted time away from patient care while staff try to fumble through the new system in real time. Without formal training, there has been a noticeable strain put on HR and IT sorting through help desk tickets with repetitive questions and problems. Today, I am asking the board to intervene and help senior leadership team pause the rollout of UKG until immediate hands-on in-person training for all departments that is structured in a similar way to our recent glucometer and Philips monitor training was. I and many of my colleagues can see the benefit of UKG allowing bid shift, my time, and my HR to be combined into one system, but we need the training and support to make this possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to make public comments? Anyone online wish to make public comment? Okay, hearing none, we will move forward. And as is our protocol, we don't tend to respond immediately, but we do hear you and we will be working behind the scenes to get some answers, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. So we are to reports and dashboards. First up, quality, Mandy.
So my report starts on page 12. And I take any questions, of course, but I did want to call out a few things. This is Fran, oh.
Forgot her
You
cup.
forgot your cup.
Oh, something's on the floor here. A big cup?
Yeti cup abandoned. That looks real nice. I'll take it.
Please.
I'm a fan.
But this is the 2026 QI dashboard that was approved last month. So it looks a little different. There's quite a few more measures. And so if there's, I do want to point out a couple of them, but then if you have questions about specific measures, the glossary was also included in your packet. So you could look at that, but I'm happy to talk about any of them as well. So on the first page of the new dashboard, it was called out in the notes, but the depression screening, the PEDS looks really terrible, right? And there's a different process in our pediatric clinic for obtaining that assessment, that screening. It's on paper. And so it gets scanned into the chart, but that's not the way this measure is collected. It's collected by whether they checked a box in the chart, in the EHR. So we may want to look at in the future about how we're collecting that data on the pediatric clinic.
Yeah, yeah,
I could
because otherwise we won't know what's going on.
One of the reasons we do it that way in peds is we want to make sure the parents are not filling it out for the kids. So it gives us the ability to hand it to the child and say, this is yours, your responsibility. So we've been talking about it. They have been talking about putting it into Cerner. I think this is the first time we graphed the performance. I think seeing this will help drive that, but it will take some extra workflow for Peds to do it that way.
And so why do we capture a little bit? And that's the few people that check the box or whatever?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just rare that
Kind of a
that's-
random.
I can tell you firsthand that they're doing these screenings and that it is helpful to have it in paper
Mhm.
especially because some of these things are screening for, you actually need to give the child privacy and the parent has to step out of the room sometimes. So it's a really important thing. This does highlight, like, how do we ensure though that we're still meeting that same level of quality with those patients? I believe we are, but how do we demonstrate it? So
There's no way to just see if the paper was uploaded or anything?
It would be a manual process.
you'd have to count,
You'd have to
look at
count.
each chart. But there might be some other informatics solutions that we don't know yet about.
But like you're
So-
saying, identify is the first
Just
step to
highlight,
say,
yeah.
what can we do?
Where's the flow, the paper gets filled, sorry, did I?
No, you're great.
Okay. The paper gets filled out and then somebody scores it, right?
They look at it,
They
yeah.
look at it.
As
Where does that
parents.
information, where's the score?
I believe it gets scanned in.
It gets scanned into the chart, whereas all the other clinics, the MA usually asks the questions and they'll click the answers in Cerner, so it calculates it and you can pull the data that way.
What?
I can't pull a piece of paper.
Why is paper better?
Because you're handing it to the kiddo
And you would have to ask the parent to leave the room
to ask the questions
to ask the questions to the
while the MA
child.
puts it on.
Like from what age? Are you
I
doing-
think 14.
Okay.
And so
So this way a parent could stay in the room for the child filling it out on
Yes.
paper.
Yes, and then hand to the MA, and then
And
the
they
MA
can-
can score
the
it and
parent
hand it to the provider.
can help if the 14-year-old, asks,
Yeah.
Mom, help me, answer this, but it also gives them the opportunity to do it privately. It's asking about mental health,
Right.
drug and alcohol use and exposure.
Does the score number, is that
No.
inputted into Cerner anywhere? The actual score? Or is it just, it was done?
I don't know the answer to that. I think it's just it's like a PDF in the,
Okay, but the box that you're saying that needs to be checked.
it's in a
makes
different,
sense.
what's that called, Dr. Thomas? I'm not a physician and I'm not in that chart, that part of the chart, but it's where the health maintenance view in there is where they're reminded to do things like colonoscopy, breast cancer screening, these other things, and they say whether things were done or not.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we need to look at the whole process and see why is this.
It's not like other things like blood pressure assessment data gets.
No,
in there.
it's not a discrete field.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank
So
you.
there's, so you do the paper form, which makes sense. I understand why you need to do that, and it's put in there. The only way to collect here seems to be if you check those boxes there, but this isn't checked, so. Is the idea that you would just also have them check the stuff, or how are we gonna get over that?
Well, that's what we get to explore.
One of the
No
workflows they're
problem.
talking about is the MA, instead of scanning the form in, would actually hand enter all the data in and answer those questions. So then that way it would populate and the data would be collected.
Does it have the ability to do a digital capture where you hand the patient, say, an iPad?
We would have to purchase an additional Cerner module for patients to be able to fill out forms on a pad.
And that's super
And-
cheap, right?
Yes. Yes. So.
And it may be too that it's a workflow that just hasn't been incorporated in the pediatrics clinic as far as like that health maintenance, and it's a box the provider could be checking too, knowing that it was done and still scanned in, but
So do you think the next
There's a
month or
lot.
two, as you work through this, you'll uncover maybe a solution or something, or?
I would imagine so, yeah, this,
We have to figure out something, yes, so we will come up with a solution.
yeah.
And then the charts will look amazing then.
Yes.
I look forward to
It's
finding
gonna
out
take a
what they
minute
do.
Yeah.
to work with staff to see what their ideas are, what pain points are, what works best for patients, how patients feel about it. And make sure we're still being compliant with the privacy for 14 and above.
It is really timely though, because we have had the providers go, well, I know in the family practice, all the information is entered into Cerner. How come we don't do that down here? So it's really timely. We're looking at depression screening and going to work through that process.
Thank you for the context on that.
Yeah. And then, see, a lot of more measures for home health and hospice. You can see there too on the second page of the dashboards, and we do have wound care and home-based primary care. Those are just visit numbers. And then on the third page, there's a stroke bundle that's added. We've had this measure. We've tracked every stroke case. We are part of the Get With the Guidelines registry for stroke care. That's part of what earns us our stroke designation. And this bundle has been in there. We've monitored it over time. We wanted to get that back on the dashboard. We will get the back data on here eventually, but it is a little unfortunate. We don't look this bad normally. We got the gold award for stroke last year, which means you've performed at 80% or better. So this, but for the month of January, we had 7 patients that failed the component of the measure that is the door to CT in less than 25 minutes, and 2 patients who are eligible for lytics, which is really uncommon that we have that many in 1 month, that we're not giving lytics that often, that were over the time, but like not by a lot. So they weren't the same patients. So the 2 that met the CT timing then had the lytics that they did not meet. So you can look at the glossary if you like, or we can go into the that measure in more detail in a future meeting if you'd like. But I'm excited to have this on here. The dysphagia screening, so that's checking to make sure that a patient is able to swallow without aspirating or, inhaling food or water, which puts them at risk for pneumonia prior to giving them any medication by mouth, is something that the special programs coordinator, Debbie Ellison, and Bonnie Gibson and Cody have all been working on for a while, and they've changed their process. But we've been working on that for a while, so it's good to have this back on the dashboard. Let's see, the other one that's new on here on that page is the NTSB C-sections. And so I don't think it got changed by the time this dashboard was published, but oh, it is. Okay. So that national goal is 23.6%. So we're doing really well with that on here. And then the next page, you can see we've broken out patient falls. That's a real focus. Holly has identified for all of us this year. And so we have patient falls, visitor falls, and staff falls. The patient falls have been on the dashboard before, but the visitor falls and staff falls are new. And then we broke out the hospital acquired infections. It was all one bundle before, but now you can see the individual hospital acquired infection types. So CODI, that's catheter acquired urinary tract infection, CLABSI, that's central line associated bloodstream infection. And then on the box below, C. diff, which is a component of the star ratings and the surgical site infections. So there's they've been working on bundles for all of these to help get make sure that we're consistently applying best practices for preventing these kinds of incidents. You can see these being broken out why they were all together before is because there's very few incidents of the CLABSI and CODI, but even one can really affect your star ratings, your scores, and also we really want to be at 0. We were at 0 for years and years and years. So I think pulling this out for a period of time is a really good practice for us to make it more visible.
The staff falls seem to be concentrated in the winter months, so those.
A lot, most of the time they're parking lot falls, although we have had falls in the stairwell and in hallways, over chairs. There's been other falls. And some of what's hard about the parking lot falls is Trent's been working really hard on making sure that we've got de-icing out there, all the different interventions. And, you know, right after they did the de-icer the other day, there were patches too, where it was totally fine in one spot and icy in another. And then the next day it's fine too, right? So, you know, or an hour later, conditions change. I feel like personally in the building I'm in and different places, the last year or two, they've been really responsive. The crews that we have for de-icing, but it's tough. We've been working. There's been a campaign this year and last year, 2 of them, and it's out there in occupational health. We didn't make this up. The Walk Like a Penguin thing came from that. That's out there in the universe as a strategy to help prevent falls. Because a lot of times it's people doing things like carrying too many things and their hands aren't free, or, you know,
Almost you saw the fall I had elsewhere. Carrying my stuff, not walking like a penguin. Let my guard down for a moment.
We did have our falls team, and I thought Laura Lassard led that first meeting, and I thought she did a great job asking, like, kind of as the icebreaker or hoopla, you know, what was your most memorable fall? And I was thinking people were going to talk about patient falls, but almost everybody talked about falling themselves, and people do fall, and
it sticks with you.
It does.
You expect to be vertical in some way.
It's important. There's high mortality rates depending on your age after a fall. I mean, it's really something we should focus on for the safety of our patients and staff. Okay, almost done. On the last page, we changed the category, like on the adverse medication events, which items are included in this measure to match the reports of incidents of harm. So that's category E or higher, meaning you had to intervene with the patient after an event has happened. So this graph now looks very different than it was before, because we had it at a lower level. So even if you just had to monitor the patient, that was what was on this graph previously. Now it is only if you had to intervene. So there's less events that are category E or higher. And otherwise, this graph is pretty much the same. We've had a lot of great incident reporting with safe boards from the safety brief that we've been having every morning. And I've heard people say we've been going out to different clinics right now and doing some presentations and talks about safe boards and incident reporting. And heard even from staff like, oh yeah, if we need to escalate some of the safety brief and safe board reporting there is really effective. So that feels good to be working as a team and have some of these issues visible.
The care and service report, just how we track with each other is really interesting, I think.
It is. I'm excited to talk about, there's some work we're doing on that too, to make it easier for folks to submit compliments and give positive feedback. Tony's been working with Crystal, and and the marketing team really excited about some things coming there.
Like a QR code kind of thing.
We do have a QR code, but the website currently, it's kind of negative. And there was limits on the amount of information you could put in the box. That's already changed, so there's more space to give more feedback, but also just even how some of that is with the QR code, and it takes you to the KVH website, not directly to that web page where you give feedback. So there's just some tweaks they're doing that I think they're excited. But maybe we'll get that. Maybe we'll get them crossed the other way. The compliments higher than the concerns. And that's all I had to say. I'll take questions.
Just even on the staff falls, we even did this our first year with the heated sidewalks between back to ortho, and we had a staff fall.
Oh,
Even with
that
the
was
heated,
heated?
yeah, so it's
That's
not always just,
unexpected.
when you have wet feet, you stomp off your boots and you just do different stuff.
Yeah.
in the winter, so it's not always ice.
Appropriate
Shoes. Conditions.
Yeah.
Winter appropriate shoes, yeah, your boots that lace and have little hooks, those will grab, that's been the one.
Okay, any other questions for Mandy? Thank you. All right, so next we'll move on to Janine, Human Resources.
Hey, so we have our, again, we have our HR deck there kind of aligned with our strategic plan. Workforce continues to hover around 100 plus, we have 834 employees. Recruitment, again, still running strong, with about 5 hot jobs being filled in the last month. We did host a leadership development workshop called Compassion and Accountability. That was a big hit with the director, and we had some physician leadership participation in that as well, which was great. And that aligns with our Just for training and our leading with psychological safety. So all those things are sort of dovetailing together. So that's very exciting. We did drop the Press Ganey survey as well. That dropped on March 10th, our inaugural year, and that will wrap up on the 31st. We hope to be able to report out our findings on that. Probably the executive leadership will get that the end of August, or sorry, end of April. And then we'll be able to roll that out facility-wide, our communication plan for that in early to mid-May. So very excited about that.
Are you getting a good response so far to this?
We have about a 60% response rate in the hospital last time I checked earlier today, and then about a 50, I think we were hovering between 49 and 50% for the physicians. So yeah, their inaugural year pretty good. As you heard earlier, we did roll out our UKG. I'd like to speak to that a little bit. I think there's a misunderstanding. We've actually had about 6 hours of training available to staff all week for that. We actually came in Sunday night when we rolled it out, rounded with staff to make sure they felt comfortable with it. We're here from 6:30 to 8:30 every morning to make sure people feel comfortable with it for drop-in. Then from 11 to 2, and then 3:30 to 5. In fact, that's why I was a little bit late coming to the board meeting tonight. So there is ample time for staff to drop in, and we've actually taken our training on the road as well to some of the various clinics who've requested it. So we can follow up with them as well. We did do extensive testing. I know the fear that the pay is going to be wrong. We did extensive testing beforehand, parallel testings to make sure that the pay would be correct if we ran it through the previous system and the current system. And we feel very confident that the pay structures in place will be fine. We do have a few tweaks to work out in terms of the process with the scheduler, but there's absolutely no hindrance to being able to manually input the time if we need to. The other thing that I wanted to bring up in regards to that is we also have extensive support for our directors who are doing timekeeping. So even during the training, or sorry, during the rollout and then thereafter to make sure that they feel supported. And if we have tweaks or needs to optimize, we can do that. So there's a space for them to do that. And then finally, there is actually more opportunity for staff to make changes and request changes. So they can do it now on their phone, and it's actually much easier for them to communicate if they have changes for either their schedule or their time as well. And they can submit those changes via their mobile app as well. They can also check their timesheets now via their mobile app where they couldn't do that for. So there's actually a much broader range of capability with the current system. I know it's a little scary for some folks, but there's a lot of support actually out there for them if they want to participate and take it.
Well, hopefully anything we can do to reach out to people that are frustrated and make
Oh,
sure
sure.
find a way to
Yeah.
ease them through it.
Yeah,
It's,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Any other questions for? Happy to answer.
Questions? Oh, thank you. All right, then moving on to operations, Holly, Chief Nursing Officer.
Yeah, my report starts on page 32. I have just a couple of things to add. First of all, Jamie Zorgeson is here. She's our new Director of Inpatient Services, and we have been so happy to have her. She really brings a great knowledge, seasoned leader, and this is asking all the right questions and you know, engaging with the staff. So I want her and you to know that how glad we are to have her here.
We put her on the spot and ask
Yeah.
her to say a few words.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I'm so happy to be here. I was here previously as the director of outpatient clinics. And now I'm back in this capacity, and I'm just so happy to be supporting nursing and all of you.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing is, Cody's last day is next week, and we have hired his replacement, Dee Dee Utley, is now Dee Dee Fedema, and she will start on April 13th and is very excited to come back and be back here at the hospital. So, any questions for me on the other areas that were listed in my report?
Questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on, Chief Operating Officer, Stacy.
Yes, I just wanted to mention, we had three of the clinic admin staff receive scholarships. They went to the Northwest Regional World Health Conference in Spokane. So next month, I'm gonna have them do just like a little synopsis of what they thought was most important that they gained there. And then just a reminder, Rehab Cleellum open house on April 8th from 4 to 6. I made it out there and saw it earlier this month. Beautiful facility and location. Staff are really excited. I said I'd even consider driving to Cleellum for my PD. So hope to see you there, and I can answer any questions you got.
Questions for Stacy? Your report is so thorough, they don't have any questions. Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to medical staff, Chief of Staff, Dr. Hoppy.
Yeah, my report is on page 38. The medical executive committee met and we had a short month. We only had to review 6 credentialing files. 2 were initial appointment and 4 were reappointments. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? If not, I think we'll entertain a motion when ready.
I'll move to approve the.
I'll second.
Providers for eventually.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
The only thing I'll mention, Dr. Hoppy, is I told Jason about this at the meeting. As a member of MEC, I want to sort of get I've been wanting to wrap my mind around the whole privileging process. And because as a board, we're always told that this is like one of the most important things we do as a board. And, but you know, by the time it gets to us, It's not a whole lot we can do. So I just wanted to get a sense of the steps in the process and stuff like that. So I've been doing some research and talking with Shannon about some stuff. And so I talked to Jason. Shannon may then be presenting at an upcoming board meeting to talk about the privileging process. It's really interesting and she's been very helpful. So, thank you.
Good. Anything else for us?
No, I think that's it. I think, just to dovetail on what you said, it's really important for the quality of care we give, and that's kind of the front door into our organization is through credentialing. And so that's where it all starts. And so that's why it's such an important piece of what we're doing here in the community.
It's the base of the Greeley pyramid, right? Don't you have that up in your office somewhere, Dr. Thomas? That's what I heard.
You better believe it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Thomas, hovering there in darkness.
Yes, hovering in darkness. My apologies for not being there with you present in person. My report begins on page 39. I have no specific updates to give, but I just want to give a call out to the valiant efforts of the recruiting team that Janine has been leading. They've been doing a lot of hard work helping bring in new candidates. I hope in the next couple of months, we'll have more than a couple of announcements for new candidates joining our team.
Very good. Any questions for Dr. Thomas? All right, thank you for your report tonight, Dr. Thomas.
I want to give just a little highlight and shout out, just special thanks. Our ER providers have been providing feedback to Cerner around their CAA, which is their augmented scribe program as they're in development. So I know it's kind of double work for our ER providers to go through that, and just appreciate the feedback as we develop that technology.
Excellent. Good. All right, thank you. So moving on to Chief Financial Officer, Jennifer.
Yes, good evening. My report starts on page 41. Another little struggle this last month, in our operating loss of almost $500,000. But a net gain of 672, which is a little better than last month, but still struggling on the revenue side. Our expenses were really close to budget, so that was nice to see. Our revenue on the outpatient side struggled in surgery and ED and rehab most specifically. So we'll just be watching that. Our deductions from revenue are pretty aggressive on our budget. And we have some initiatives that we're working on the revenue side to decrease denials. We should start seeing the results of that a little later in the year. So that will help. The other thing we're watching is our labor assumptions and projections. Last month I was a little more worried than I am this month about that budget. So I think we're doing all right there. So let's see, anything else I wanted to talk about there, or do you have questions on the dashboard? Got some yellow. We've got a day's cash on hand is in the red, mainly because we had a payroll right before the end of the period again. So that's not very fun, but it's about 7 days of cash. So let's see what else. Well, I can just go on to capital unless anybody has questions there. And that's capital is the fun part. For me, the master facility plan, as you know, is the fun part, but we did have the architects come and look at some short-term solutions for the ED that won't impede the master plan and addressing our growth and where we want to go later. So what we are asking for is board approval just to go to the next steps of the ED short-term solution with the team. So now we'll have a new leader down there. And so we'll want to kind of, I don't know about start over, but really start over, but move to the next step, I guess I'd say. So
Yeah, so you might recall years past, we would go through a lot more design phase before we'd even come to the board. So trying to take these in a little bit more bite-sized pieces before we incur $200,000 and then bring it to the board and say, what do you guys think? So these are just a little bit more bite-sized steps in the process to bring these forward, and recognizing we're kind of in this limbo phase of, do we keep investing right here where we're landlocked? What can we do with the new property? So excited for that master site plan, and I like that JJCA's approach to all this doesn't hinder investments we still have to do in any case right here, even if we were to build a new hospital in 10 years. So
On the next go around, I mean, it'd be nice to see like, this is where we are. This is the overlay of, you know, what it's gonna look like. So you can kind of see what's expanding, what's moving.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
There's
Presentation was a little challenging.
They will actually be here, I think. Are they here for board meeting?
I think so in May.
I think they are here, and so we'll see some plans.
We can even
That's
have a
right.
special board meeting.
Plus,
just on facilities. That'd be
yeah, just at the end of the programming is what they'll do when they come on site for the whole master plan. We can have a meeting and really dig in and look at that stuff. Yeah.
Is it possible to get some of those files in advance to be able to digest them? I have trouble digesting on the
Oh,
fly and
yeah.
asking relevant questions. I think of them later.
Yes,
So
yes.
if we could look at those in advance. I especially like to manipulate the befores and afters and such. Super helpful.
So I have the short term all in all the phases that I can email out. It's still hard, of course, because it's a big building.
Yeah.
But you can move it around and then
amazing.
There's a narrative of the phases. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, especially with any like pages or suggestions that are after the state, that'd be great.
Yeah, and I will be asking for a couple of you to be on the building committee.
So are you looking then for a motion
I
to,
would love that.
you want to
if
phrase what the
so-
motion is? You want to give me a phrasing?
a motion for operations to engage with JJCA for further contractual arrangements to keep developing FMCE and emergency rooms.
So do it combined. Kind of motion, okay, good.
If someone wants to make that mouthful motion, I'll second it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so,
who remembers that?
so if anybody's so inclined to make that motion,
Or I can make the motion that you said.
Can I second it?
need a motion and then you can second it. So are you committing to a motion?
I will,
Okay,
yes.
motion by Erica
I second.
and
Oh.
Matt would like a second. Okay, let me, oh wait, no, you said it first, didn't you?
No, I know, but I'll let Matt.
Nope,
say.
that's-
I'm just
this
messing
is-
around.
this is My birthday gift to you.
Well, thank you for giving me a birthday gift.
Consider us squared.
It's always fun when you tap me.
Thank you, Terry. Motion by Erica, second by Terry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
The next thing we have is the fluoroscopy replacement. And I gave you a little overview of kind of our ability that we went through in analyzing, do you put a new fluoroscopy piece of equipment or do you replace it with an x-ray and use the C-arm that they have two of in surgery? So the decision from providers, I understand, and Kimmy's group and us in finance was that we should proceed with an x-ray room using the C-arm. We would lose 3 procedures that are actually declining in volume, and they just don't see how they would ever make that square anyway to make the difference. So what we are asking, and I can walk you through the feasibility if you like, but basically a new fluoro suite would be $800,000 initial capital investment. The x-ray with the C-arm is $300,000. So just right off the bat, saving $500,000 plus some cost of ownership. So. We,
Assume you guys talked about this.
Yes,
I
and
think-
and Bob and I both did Gemba's down there to walk through and have them explain to us. So I think too, it gives us some redundancy in the X-ray.
Yep.
Gives us modern X-ray equipment. And again, we're stepping away from a piece of equipment that is very rarely used now, but is incredibly expensive per use, so to speak. And I think our dollars for a small community are better spent on a more regularly used device that also creates a backup, so.
Yeah, the one that's replacing, we leased in 2017, I think it was the start of 2017. And then this is the equipment that we bought that lease out when it came due about 3 years ago. Instead of continuing to lease it again for another 3 years, we bought a deep discounted price, knowing that we would be coming in the next couple of years to replace that. It was at its end of life at that time. It's still usable equipment, but it's just not used anymore. This type of study is just not highly utilized. So while our X-ray room is just the workhorse room, that where we have the most volume, this room sits idle most of the time. So,
And this price point includes some refurbishing inside the room to get it ready for the new equipment. So it's not just the X-ray price.
It takes up a lot of space,
Yeah,
a lot of space. So I concur with John.
yeah.
What are the 3 procedures that are lost?
3 procedures that that's lost are, do what asked of it, so not for an
barium,
the berry,
Enema.
swallow.
upper GI.
I don't see it. I know it's in here.
It says 2.
That's just, okay. I know it's in here. Sorry.
Discontinued.
Oh, what is that?
Barium and upper GI.
Okay.
Barium and the upper
Okay,
GI.
sorry.
Mhm.
I knew I
It's
saw
just the
it.
2.
2? No, I think there's 3. You know what, look at it done. Very sorry.
Yeah, they were super low volume and decreasing. And I talked with Dr. Glinson and Dr. Thomas as well. And they'll work on just some communication to the providers that order those of some alternative studies to
Yes,
these people
there's
too.
2.
So we think that we will still be able to serve these patients just in a different way.
These 2 tests will have to go, I swear.
If they
Every other
want
test.
those exact tests, but if there's another method of getting that information, we might have a way to do that as well.
That is correct. And we did approximately 5 of them, 15 total of the 2 tests a year. So it's not a lot.
But that's not indicating that those were the appropriate or necessary tests at that moment. So we do have good alternatives for almost every
Thank
use
you.
case.
Excellent.
So it's like the arthrogram having 125 of them last year. So it's declining volumes, but the C-arm is a more adequate study now. So it'll change the type of study.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion if anyone's so inclined. Moved by Bob, second by Matt. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes.
So we can go through the statements if you like. On the key statistics, just kind of pointing out the surgery volumes, really in the GI. ER visits were down a bit. They're down year to date, and they're down a bit from last year also. One would think that that would make urgent care increase a little bit, but it hasn't. But rapid access, I think, we'll see really increased. And rehab. We continue to talk about rehab and are in talks with rehab visions. Then we move to the year over year, and you can see our budget. And our annualized coming in a little under that, but only two months. We can't really predict the annualized at this point. I predict we'll get closer to budget. Any questions about the volumes?
Yeah, our hospital side is a little lower, as Jennifer mentioned, so ER visits down, as you mentioned. A couple of things that seem to be at play with that is rapid access is up quite a bit. So people are finding our rapid access, which is great. It's a better use of resources when appropriate. Also, Yakima opened their freestanding ER and our Yakima patients have declined. So they were making up about 9% of our ER. Now they're back to about 6% right now. I would anticipate those two trickle back up as well, but at first I was like, it's probably just decreased with winter time, but it's not going back up. So I think it's directly related to that freestanding ER. With that, evolves. Then those translate into admissions, so observation and inpatient days being a little bit down.
I have a question. Why do you think our surgical volumes are down when we've added more rooms? We've got more providers doing these procedures. Any thoughts?
Some was Zamit, so Zamit versus onboarding vascular right now. Yeah. So it's a chunk. And
More to come.
Yep.
They're looking at their blocks and all sorts of things down there. So what
Said
are
eye
we-
surgery is down too.
Huh?
Eye surgery is
Yeah.
down too. We were just looking at that.
Like the cataract type surgery that they would do as a Dr. Faith usually blocks time out for that.
Vacation.
I know,
The beginning of the year.
OBHG provider said they've seen some of the women's health GYN surgeries canceled because of insurance. They haven't met deductibles yet.
So it's probably related more to deductibles.
it's back and forth on deductibles. Sometimes it's like a seasonality thing you would predict where people are trying to cram their stuff into the end of the year, but it's like back and forth. So a lot of people try to cram it in the end of the year. So a lot of people try to hold off until the start of the year. So I think that some of what we see is that right now, but don't have consistent, KVH is never consistent with its seasonality cycles. I used to try to budget seasonality in and we do not have it. The only thing that's seasonal and predictable with us is utilities bills.
Well, and as Dr. Hoppy mentioned, it would be nice to see maximize the investment in those surgical spaces, obviously for necessary stuff, not unnecessary stuff, but.
Yeah, I know podiatry is going strong, so we're doing more
He's full
podiatry,
booking.
but Faith is less.
He's
So
booking his full surgical day here now.
yeah, so like comments about last board meeting that we started podiatry and some of that is we've just maintained podiatry to the community with Cascade Foot and Ankle, but they're doing a lot more services local here now. So the process of a referral to Cascade Foot and Ankle is now under one EMR, and then the process for a referral and the infusions and surgical and all that is a seamless process over to the hospital. So the patients are staying here now for their care and their surgical. So he was doing 1 or 2 surgeries a month. Now he's filling his entire block time each week.
Which is 7, usually 7.
Yeah.
7 a day.
So volumes will be up in March.
And is ortho still just hugging along?
We're just ortho steady.
Yeah, we could use more referrals. We could always use more referrals.
Yeah.
But we are looking at doing outpatient totals as well.
They did their first outpatient total last week, I believe.
So they did not do an overnight stay then?
Which is best practice.
Doesn't help the admissions
No.
volume. So there's kind of a push and pull of resource there.
There is
finance
that
versus
10%,
operation.
almost every day, 10% of ED gets admitted, which I know you didn't really care for that KPI. But I still watch it.
Delivery is
So-
about the same.
Is that
Delivery is about the same.
It's, yeah, overall, we're gonna do a community education push starting, I think in 2 months, Crystal, I'm a couple months out, working on just educating the community about our OB services, our great services here now with a stable physician group.
Jesse, the clinic manager at her all staff meeting, compared 2024 data to 2025. I'll add that to my board report next time. Just amazing difference. So we're definitely seeing it increase in
Yeah.
the clinic.
Yeah, we're way more volume in the clinic, especially 2023, 24 to 25 and what we're looking at now. And we have Anna Parr who went per diem as well. So we have 2 new part-time PAs that Dr. Wagonek is bringing up to speed. So we should continue to expand that access. And I think we're recruiting for an additional APC now as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Sierra DeLay and Dr. Thomas are working on doing possibly some OB visits out in Cleella.
Yeah. It's to come. Yeah. Partially.
It translates to money.
Yeah, last month you mentioned as well, I think we boarded, was it 17 providers? In 6 months, you
17
mentioned?
from September through January, and then a few more in February and March, so.
So that plus volume's a little light, deductions, insurance
Lot.
shenanigans. So it's-
Insurance shenanigans. So. Back to where we were, accounts receivable are doing pretty well. Like, that's kind of my sweet spot, it's 55 days. If they stop with their shenanigans, we might adjust that a little bit, but I don't see it happening. Our cash on hand, like I said, was the victim of payroll on the second to the last day of the month. So that didn't help. On the financial statement of revenue and expense, I walked you a little bit through that already, but revenue down and total operating revenue down over budget, $626,000. Our salaries did a little better this month, which is why I sort of am feeling a little bit better about that. And the total expenses came in under budget, which is always nice to see. Down in the non-operating line items, we did split out the tax levy revenue, so you see that in non-operating, although it really is for operating, so it's doesn't make sense to me, but they always want to put it on non-operating, so that's what helps us pay for the things that are causing a loss. Down in that unit operating income, I thought we had taken this off, but we wanted to take a look at our allocations before we published these breakdowns. So next month you'll see the hospital did not have this huge loss with the clinics having gains. So that will be fixed next month with the correct allocations going to the different units. Questions about that? Anything? Right. Then we'll go on to the balance sheet. And there's nothing that exciting about the balance sheet except for month over month, cash did go up. And our accounts receivable went down, so that's always nice to see. We did a little bit of investing. We had a maturity of that really low, our very last under 1% investment came mature, and we reinvested that at 3.75-ish. That is what I know about the balance sheet. That's not all I know about that. I'm gonna stay. There are questions about the balance sheet? Okay. And then the cash flow, you can just see where'd the money go, and we had a book net income of $560,000. So where did the money go? Well, it went to liabilities, it went to accounts receivable. And we had a little bit of property, plant and equipment costs that went into our construction in progress. So, and I think we have monitors, Philips monitors there, so.
X-ray and mobile X-rays.
I don't know, paid for those mobile X-rays, they paid. So, Questions about the cash flow? I've got to learn how to talk. Year to date. On the cash flow,
That's for-
I move from month to month to year to date. I'm like. So, accounts receivable, like we said, it's down a little bit over last month. We are still working on those older accounts, both cleaning up the credit accounts, getting them through collections and back and through the whole process in a timely manner, getting those self-pay patients, balances on payment plans. So they're doing a hard work down there. Questions about that?
Remind me what makes up an uncategorized. Is that
That would be like vehicle accident, and sort of that kind of thing.
Is it where it's in limbo where it belongs? Because would that not fall under other?
Oh, uncategorized, yeah, it is other. Oh, the $15. I have no idea. What,
I mean, it's not-
probably a copay or
Okay.
something that should be in self-pay.
Okay. I mean, it's not a ton, it's just.
Yeah.
Either.
Since we are watching Charity Care and the Medicaid fiasco, we're working on splitting out the self-pay to truly uninsured people and then the patient portion, because I think that'll be important to watch as we move forward. So look forward to that. And
Little something here.
yes,
Nice.
yes. That's all I have, unless there are questions.
Any question on finance? Thank you for your report.
You're very welcome.
Now we're gonna move on to the Chief Executive Officer report. Jason. I'll flip back to my left. No, March isn't it?
Not this month, yeah, this month.
Next.
I don't have it on my list this month, is it?
Oh,
Next.
Couple things I just
I don't think you
touch on. March volumes seem to follow the same pace. Jennifer was mumbling as January, February, so look forward to April, May. Picking back up.
Maybe people will hike.
Yeah, and it's just been quiet this week. I've been here just taking a little spring break time today or this week as well. But just being here Wednesday, Thursday, I suppose it's quiet. Fuller vacationing. That's great. Other thing on finance is Cerner's working on their products for some updated like billing, right? IT's working on selecting a vendor for.
This patient portal. Yeah. Patient
Like
portal.
one bill too.
That's all part of the patient portal. I think they've chosen RevSpring to go forward. Have they, Jeff? Yeah. And
Yeah.
that'll nice because you can pay online, you can pay with QR codes. Your statement will come in one. Instead of 100 statements. Because I said, if I don't even know how much I owe, I don't know how anybody's supposed to know. So yeah, that's coming. I don't know when, Jeff.
Probably towards the third or fourth quarter. We are starting the patient portal upgrade probably in the next month or so. And so Rev Springs in the patient financial side will follow after that.
Yeah, excited for that, and that'll help quicker payments and more transparency on the bills. So my report is, if you rewind back to page 26, just kind of touch through a few things. Urology, we're still recruiting for a APC for urology. We have a tentative start date. I think we're looking at, is it May? No, June 1st for Dr. Chavla, is a urologist that will be coming to us for 1 week a month for him. No other updates on new services there. Like Stacy mentioned, please come to the open house on April 8th for therapy. Radio Hill is out to bid. So you had your bid opening meeting, right, or whatever.
They had
whatever
a
it's called.
pre-bid meeting. There was a lot of people there, which was nice to see, and they took a tour around. And so bidding closes on April 14th. They'll open the bids. And then we did get the building permit issued already, so they'll be ready to go right after that. First will be the interior, and then late summer, they'll start on the parking lot.
And we even talked about the compassion and accountability, wrapping everything up here. Look forward to doing those types of leadership offsite summits twice a year is the goal that Nate and I have been talking about doing, and it was very, very well received from all of our leaders. So I think it was really got good education, good time to get together with everybody, really grounding and then energizing as we can come back to the facility and be present for our staff. Little bit of updates on the advocacy. So the Washington legislation session is now completed. There's a few bills that were semi-significant to us, but not as significant as the last legislative cycles last year. But I did put together some notes about that. Couple that passed was timely payments. So insurers are now will have a requirement to pay clean claims within 30 days instead of just 95% of clean claims within 30 days. So that starts in 2027. Don't know what that'll look like. It'll probably look like a lot more of our claims are not clean, is what I would suspect. So I think the insurance company is going to pivot in some method, and we will probably have a lot more not clean claims. Because
There's an interest charge, right? So, we're allowed to.
Well,
Already
if they're
if they, yeah, but
it's pretty low, and this does incorporate new fees and stuff if they don't meet that clean claim, but if they deem it not a clean claim.
no prior auth, no
Yeah.
prior auth, no prior auth.
Yeah.
Around 3 times.
Next one, State Bill 5959 about eligibility limits for hospital charity program. That did not pass, so there was the legislation to require the charity care program to be restricted to just Washington State residents. That did not move forward. Hopefully in future years. And then one did pass to help support and protect our current 340B program. That protects and prohibits manufacturers from limiting access to programs through that. And it also, they're trying to advocate for more administrative burdens to be able to participate in that program for each medication that goes through it, which it's already a very administratively burdensome program. It's very complex. I don't know if anybody truly understands it start to finish, except for Nasser, probably. Thank you, Nasser. Some other ones from today, the state budget is completed. So the first state budget was forecast to have a $2.3 billion deficit. WISH's goal was to have no further cuts to healthcare. And their goal was met. Original budget included a couple of things, such as a $58 million in cuts to pharmacy for site neutral. That didn't move forward. And then there was a push by Governor Ferguson to have no relief to the 2025 legislation that was passed. So Ferguson didn't want any relief from prior things were passed, and WISHA did get a small chunk of relief. So the B&O surcharge tax won't apply to hospitals, and that's about $60 million across state. It doesn't impact us because it only applies to hospitals that do over 250 million a year, which someday we'll probably get there, but right now we're like 60 million. So we are quickly approaching that though. And then a few other things passed on the revenue side. So the millionaire tax, as you know, passed. There was a proposition to have a 5% tax to all employees who have a salary of $125,000 or more. That did not pass. And then there was a Medicaid employer tax, so a tax to the employers to help cover the cost of the Medicaid expansion and release. That didn't pass as well. So I think overall WISHA did pretty good advocating this year. on the cusp of last year, healthcare was hit really hard in 2025. I went over the other ones. Do you have any other questions of what's in my report? Or as I have a few comments of stuff that's not in my report. Okay. For advocacy, I've never done any of the DC advocacy, so I wanted to kind of dip my toes into that and get a feel for that. So I did sign up with Wisha to go in April. It's April 19th to the 22nd for the federal advocacy effort. So I don't know what their agendas are and stuff for that, but they promised me there will be some prep meetings before that. So I look forward to the experience and thank you for the support to do that. One address I wanted to comment on. So there's some scuff, I don't know, around one address. So we're changing the hospital's address to be one address for this entire campus. So the benefit of that, we talked about a year and a half ago, is every offsite campus here, every offsite clinic can be an RHC or it could be not an RHC. So a lot of flexibilities around that RHC benefit. So we could have ortho be an RHC and internal medicine be an RHC if we so chose. In the process of that, there is a bit of confusion of where's mail going to go, which it all should generally go here anyway, and then it's disseminated out. And then we'll have one letterhead with the address, but we can have like in the footer signed by, internal medicine, orthopedics and that, but we'll have more standardization. One letterhead is also a good standardization to support just kind of a scaled growth instead of for every different clinic that gets mixed up and that. So anything you want to add to that? Jennifer's been leading this and thank you. It has been a big project to make this one address.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Probably
Is, in order for us to be considered RC, is there like a limit? Like, does the federal government or state government put limits like on how many specialties we can add until we're not considered?
It used to be 50%.
It used to be.
Visits.
Okay, it's
Yeah, it's been removed. I think last year they removed it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they removed it because they took out a really big benefit though. So it used to be fully cost-based and now they have this cap of the cost that we can or that we can get reimbursed. So now they've changed it. So well, since there's this cap, we don't need these other.
Thank you.
The cap is based on our 2020
Yeah.
cost report. So it's much better than starting a new RHC because they're really limited on their cap. It's like 89 100 bucks or
154.
oh, is it already up that high?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Still,
So a new
Not a-
RHC, if we start a new RHC after 2020, the rate is $154 a visit.
54
Whereas
visits.
all of our RHCs are about 400.
So we're grandfathered in? Yes.
Yeah.
The pre-existing are.
Yeah, start new ones.
which is one of the reasons
Super
why we wanted flexibility to be this address wherever we.
Right.
That's, yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, there was, a lot of questions about how to, do we have to re-credential and all these things, and I think we've ironed all that out where we're just add another address and then it slowly just moves. I think it's calming down.
I think it is.
Yeah, so it'll be good.
It's change, and there's also connection to having internal medicine letterhead, so I recognize that. So these are changes and they're impactful to staff. But it also creates a consistency and easier to order, easier to make changes to those different things. Yeah, so overall, it's gonna be a good event. And the flexibility of being RHC is huge.
Just one big cap.
Yep. With one address. Sorry, I have to try to read my handwriting sometimes. Updated portico, you'll have a new updated portico sign out front here in the next month. So keep a watch for that. Kudos to the marketing team, community relations team for putting together. really beautiful. It's really a scenic one, and it's gonna tie together with what we're moving towards with identifying different teams to be geographic or like Northwest type of teams rather than the blue and yellow type team identification. So it will kind of pull that together when it comes out. Teamsters, our Surgitechs voted to become members with Teamsters. So today we had our first opener to bargain with Teamsters for our 7 surgical techs. And last one, can't remember when, but I don't know if it was since the last board meeting, but I rounded with 2 of the board members. So Bob and John came in the evening and rounded on night shift on a Thursday night, I think it was, with us. And it was just really nice to have the commissioners come and attend, meet some of the staff. And maybe that's what we need to do more often, because it was one of probably the busiest days we've had at our hospital. So family birthing was,
But let's be honest, they were more excited about the food and drinks than they were about a couple of commissioners.
Yeah,
getting on. So-
yeah. Who is this person?
No, but it was wonderful to see everybody kind of in action doing their thing. So
Yeah.
that's a great excuse to kind of wander the hallways with little treats.
Yep, but literally every corner of the hospital was very busy. Family birthing place, we couldn't catch. They were all busy in the patient rooms delivering babies. Pharmacy, we could not connect with because they were caring for patients. ER was slammed. CCU was at full capacity. Med Surg was at full capacity. So it was a good day to round and see
But if we
everybody.
couldn't find people, Jason left little piles of treats for them. So.
Yeah. So thank you for joining for that. And lastly, you have at your desk just a drafted update. I say draft because we're working on just consistency of naming and titles and layout, but of the org chart since the reorganization of the executive team and some of the departments that follow under that. So I just wanted to get that to you, and also I will email that out and it'll be shared on our website as well once that is final. And then the other handout I left with you is this bifold. So the board's been creating this bifold for the last decade or so and refreshing every 3 years. So we went through that work last year to refresh our strategic pillars and have that all encompassed in this new bifold. And again, just a kudos to the Community Relations Department. I think they put together a really nice informational handouts there. We were a little slow getting this out because we were thinking about refreshing the core values, but we've decided not to at this time, or decided to not propose doing that at this time to the board. So that is all that I have. Questions, feedback? Done.
My comment?
Let's hear it.
You know what I'm going to comment on?
What is it?
Anybody know?
I think I do.
Misspelled my name.
Oh.
I don't take it personal, but I blame my mom. She took out the H.
Good.
What?
I'll check with Community Relations, see how many they printed too.
We should not be doing any reprints over that, obviously, but story of my life.
We'll still call you Joe.
Another type.
Thank you.
D, it's a. That's a little bird. That's what I thought. I
Oh.
wish your name. I'm
See, I didn't even
sorry.
get that far. I
Put
was
it in the
just
list.
focused on my name.
On the 4th bullet point of access to quality service. Be intentional about the services, not service.
Oh.
Got it.
Well, since we're
So we can send this a draft.
is it community, is it well-being or well-being?
It's well-being. It says so draft.
Okay.
We want to
Yeah.
circulate these for proofreading in the future before
The
printing.
3 of us, that find them all. Yeah, the T thing is it anyway.
Oh, the thing, the vertical.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, more to come.
Excellent.
It's a nice draft.
Anything else, Jason?
Nope.
All right. So that concludes the CEO report. Real quick on old business, just confirming with the commissioners, Mandy had said she secured some rooms down the road. I just want to make sure people have responded to her. If you think about going to the conference in Chelan. And then I was going to ask the leadership leadership conference, several of us had expressed the interest. Again, just, do we know on that conference, I thought there was like, if you do 3 entries, you get the 4th one free or something like that.
Before you get.
4, you get the 5th free or something. So we may want to keep track of how many people are going, if that's relevant to us or something, just from an economic standpoint. And so hopefully people will decide the next month or so if they're going to attend that. Any questions or comments about any of those conferences? Good. All right. So we'll get ready to go to executive session. Jason, you have a topic you want for executive session?
Yes.
How long do you need for you?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay. And then I need 15 for mine. We may have to extend, but for what I'm doing. So 30-minute total to start. So why don't we take
Can you read the executive session, please?
yeah, so so this will be, we're going to recess into executive session to evaluate applications of an applicant for public employment under RCW. And does that cover yours, Jason, also? Yeah, that covers, okay, terrific. And so why don't we take a 5-minute break? We'll reconvene at 7:30 for 30 minutes for executive session.
And I just need Jennifer and Stacy to hang out.
The action anticipated?
Yeah, no action from my side afterwards. Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.